So he kept holding his ears when we were in noisy places, or if a neighbor was drilling their wall, maybe to mount a TV or fix something on the wall, he would always hold his ears or run towards me and hug me. So that is when I came to realize that this thing could actually be real. Besides, he had no eye contact, he had no social skills, he preferred playing alone. So yes, all these things brought us to a conclusion that the doctors were actually right, that our son was actually mildly autistic.
Did you wait too long? Tell him that you love him, but he's already gone, darling. Did you make two wrongs? Know that daddy never made a right before, darling. You were never made to be the judge, darling. You never changed.
Good afternoon, lovely people all over the world. Welcome back to the channel. In today's topic, I want us to handle something crucial, something that has become a problem, that has become too much in our societies, that is autism. And I'm going to be highlighting a few signs that may conclude, or that may lead to a conclusion, that your child could be having autism. Note that it's not that every sign here directly leads to a conclusion of autism in a child, but a combination of more than of about 5 to 10 may actually conclude that your child is having autism signs in them. I'm a mother of a child who was diagnosed with mild autism, that is level 1, when he was 2 years old. We came to this conclusion, or the doctor came to this conclusion, after giving me a test, a checklist to answer, and according to my answers, my points were directing towards the autism spectrum. So my son is currently 5 years, and he has improved a lot because of a lot of things that we had to implement in his growth. So let's go back to the topic. As I said, I'm going to discuss, or I'm going to highlight some of the early signs that a child could be autistic or in the spectrum. So when you see some of these signs, especially when your child is still young, early intervention is very important. According to the growth chart, a child is expected to achieve a certain milestone by a certain time or by a certain period as they grow up. For instance, by the time before a child turns 1 year, we expect them to clap, to wave back at someone. When you tell them bye, they look at you like they straight eye contact, and they wave back, they smile. That is even before 1 year. By 7, 8, 9 months, a child should be doing that. But when you notice your child is not doing that, you should start questioning. So our very first point, or very first sign, is gonna be lack of eye contact, the lack of eye contact. Children are usually very inquisitive, especially between 6 to 1 year. They become very excited, they smile a lot, they are literally excited at the people they know. And by doing this, they show a sign of direct eye contact. So if your child is between the ages of 6 months and 1 year, and you notice that they don't have eye contact, please start engaging them and look for other signs to accompany that. I'm not saying that every child that doesn't have eye contact by this time has autism, no. But according to the growth chart, at this age, they're supposed to be able to have eye contact. Our second point is the ability to wave back. Yes, again, before the age of 1 year, a child should be able to wave. You call them, maybe, hey baby, how are you? Bye. They should be able to wave back. But if a child, you're engaging them and telling them bye, you're even waving your hand, and they're just ignoring you or looking at you and looking away, that is also questionable. The other is clapping. Now, waving and clapping almost go hand in hand. If I start clapping my hands, I expect a child of that age, like 1 year to 1.5, to be able to clap back and get excited, because that is what children do. But if you notice, the first thing, your child has no eye contact. They don't wave back when someone waves at them. They don't clap when someone claps. You should start questioning, because children do this between the ages of 1 year and 1.5. They're able to do this. So if you see your child is lacking this, please start questioning or start looking for help as soon as possible, because as I mentioned earlier, early intervention is very important. Then our fourth point is, when playing with your child, he tends to line toys. Maybe they have toy cars. Now, instead of playing with them like pretend playing, pretend driving, vroom, 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 like other kids, your child instead lines them up. Or maybe they have building blocks. Now, instead of building out something, maybe let's say they're building a house, or maybe a letter or a number, they're instead lining up these blocks. That is another sign, because from the little research I've done, most autistic children tend to isolate themselves and line up their toys. Instead of pretend playing, they just line up the toys. It's their mind telling them to do that. So this is also something to look into when you notice your child has the first 3 points I mentioned: lack of eye contact, cannot wave back, cannot clap. And now when they are playing with toys, instead of pretend playing, like maybe if it's a doll, they pretend that the baby is crying and they're telling the baby keep quiet, or shaking the baby to keep quiet. Now yours lines the babies or lines the cars. That is another sign to look at when it comes to autism. Then there is that issue. The next point is almost related to the first one, whereby a child clings to a specific toy. They have so many toys, but they have that favorite toy that they always hold on to. If it's not there, then there is trouble in the house. So they have a favorite toy that they hold on to, like maybe a teddy bear, a car, maybe a specific cup. And if it's not there, there is trouble. The child will literally burst into cries and all that. So that is also another sign of autism. If, of course, in this alone cannot conclude that the child has autism, but along with some of the points I've mentioned earlier and the ones I'm yet to mention, may need you to look into this issue and start exploring your options on how to help your child. Because we expect, if a child has so many toys, they shouldn't just cling to one. When they see this one, they should pick it up, play with it, throw it aside, pick another one, play with it. But yours is clinging to one and the rest of the toys are just there. No, it shouldn't be like that. Yes, you can have a favorite toy, but it shouldn't be the one you cling to all the time. You should be able to touch this car. Maybe there's a monster car, play with it. Go kick the ball. Go maybe skip a rope. You should be able to play with all these things, not just clinging to one toy as a favorite. Yes. Now, the next is repeating patterns. Like maybe your child has a favorite spot where they place their cup. So that cup is always there. When you remove it and take it somewhere else, trouble again. So the child will literally pick that cup and bring it back to that spot. Or maybe they know that before I go to bed, I'm supposed to remove these clothes, throw them, put them here, and no one should remove them. Like they want that thing exactly where they've put it. That could also be a sign, and of course hand in hand with the other points. So for a child of 1 to 2 years, we don't expect them to have this routine, okay, like a specific pattern. They're still very young. To have a specific pattern that this goes here, when I put this, before I do this, I'm supposed to do this. No. At that age, we're expecting kids to explore things. So yours is already having a pattern. You need to question. And the worst bit of it is that when you switch any of these things, it brings trouble. The child literally breaks into tears. So you need to look into these things as mothers, especially who spend most of the time with these children. When you notice such signs, do not look back. Do not fear. I was once there. I had no idea what autism meant. But after what happened, I had to open my eyes and put in some work, brought in therapists, speech, occupational, to help my child. And as I speak now, my son is 5 years. Yes, he had delayed speech, but right now, he started talking about 3 months ago. Trust me, it's like all the words that he has been hearing all of a sudden are just coming out. So I'm here to encourage fellow parents, if you have a child who is autistic or who was diagnosed with autism, do not lose hope. Do not lose hope, please, because it's upon you to help your child to overcome this. Autism may not be curable, but you may be able to reverse or to stop the secondary symptoms that may come along if you put in early intervention, which is very important. Now, our next point is you find that your child avoids wet floors. My son was very neat. He would literally not step on water, where there is water, whether he's wearing shoes or Crocs or anything on his feet, he cannot step a wet surface. But if you see him right now, he even helps you with cleaning the house. He literally enjoys stepping the muddy places, and that is what a child should do. But between the ages of 1 and 2, you're noticing your child is avoiding these things. What other typical children are doing and enjoying? You need to think and question what is going on. Do not sit back and don't listen to people who tell you that children are different. Yes, children are different, but there are certain things that are common in every child. Playing in muddy water is something common in children. Playing in wet areas is something common in children. But if yours is avoiding, let no one deceive you that children are different and he will overcome it. No. These days, information is all over us, around us. We need to take opportunity and do what is best for our children. The world has changed. Otherwise, you may realize when it's too late. The next thing is tiptoeing. Walking in their tiptoes most of the time. You find your child is tiptoeing. It may be something, I don't want to say every child, but you may find quite a number of children doing it. But yours is doing it all the time. On top of not playing on wet surfaces, they are tiptoeing. You understand? Meaning the sensory nerves in the feet are not developed, so he can only walk by tiptoeing. Even when you give him shoes or sandals, you find they are tiptoeing because the brain hasn't told him that your feet can actually step down flat so that you can walk properly. His brain is telling him, no, you have to tiptoe. It's like there are thorns in his feet. So you as a parent, you have to come in, find things that maybe start massaging his feet, maybe get those sensory toys whereby he can rub his feet or buy him sandals that have sensory activators in them. They are not like spikes, but there are those rubber shoes that kind of massage and activate the senses in the feet. So all these things you need to recognize this and accept, and then go ahead and help your child. Then aside tiptoeing, we talked about wet surfaces. Now, wet surfaces, not stepping on wet surfaces, tiptoeing, these are all related to the sensory nerves on the feet. And then we have sensitivity when trimming their hair or nails. I'm still struggling with the nails sensitivity. I trim my son's nails only when he's asleep. But for the good thing, or by good luck, for the hair, he's very okay. You take him to the barber shop and he's able to sit and they trim his hair without any problem. But for the nails, we are still struggling with that. So there are so many sensory issues related with autism. Because any normal child, if you tell them, come I trim for your hair, your nails, they'll just bring their hands very excited and you trim them. But for children with autism, you notice that at times they avoid you trimming their nails when they are seeing. So most of us trim those nails when the children are sleeping. Then another point related to the feet senses is the fear to step on sand or grass. These are things that every child enjoys, but if your child is avoiding stepping on grass or on sand, then his brain is telling him something else. So this is still related to the sensory nerves in the feet that need to be worked on to activate them. Then the one I suffered with most was inability to chew solid food. By the age of 1 year to 3 years, I was literally blending food for my son. So if you notice that your child is struggling or cannot chew food, now these are senses in the mouth, the tongue, the teeth. His brain is not yet signaling him that you need to chew the food. So how did I work with this? I had to buy a set of should I call them sensory activators? They are called the Z-Vibe. I had to send for the Z-Vibe from the United States because in Africa, I think it's only available in South Africa. But luckily enough, I had someone who was in the US and was traveling back. So they kindly bought me a pack of the Z-Vibe. So you put it in the mouth. There are different pieces that do different functions. You put in his or her mouth and then you turn on and there's a vibrator that helps to it vibrates in the mouth as you move. So it helped activate the tongue, the jaw nerves and everything in the mouth. And then eventually we started eating solid food, but I would literally blend every food my son would eat. And as I speak, I'm sure there's a parent out there going through the same. So if you can access the Z-Vibe, if you have anyone in the US who can get for you a Z-Vibe, that would be really good. I think you can ship it, but the costs could be quite expensive. So it's cheaper if someone is traveling back from the US and then they get it for you. That is the Z-Vibe. Now, our next point or our next sign that your child could be having autism, either mild, medium, or the moderate, or severe, which is the level 3 extreme. Inability to mention words, that is speech delay. Speech delay is a main feature in autism. Most children with autism struggle with speech. So if your child has speech delay, children by 1 year are mentioning words, 2 years they're making sentences. If yours is not even having a single word, then you have to help the child, intervene, bring in speech therapist. Therapy is expensive, but you have to save and help the child. Otherwise, it may be too late. I had to involve speech therapists. I had to involve occupational therapists to help us with the issue of like potty training, dressing himself, combing the hair, applying Vaseline. Occupational therapists do mainly the things that help children to learn how to do certain things for themselves that every human being is expected to do by a certain age. So they come in to help these kids learn independence, basically. Then, of course, the speech therapist is just to help them learn how to speak. That is it. So if your child is unable to speak by 1.5, 2 years, do not say, this one is a boy, boys take long to talk. No, you need to start questioning, and better late than never. And also, even if he has delayed, if it's normal delay and he will talk eventually, if you incorporate a speech therapist, it won't do you any harm. So go ahead and do that. And then our 15th point is the lack of adequate social skills. Your child prefers playing alone. Like most of the time, the child prefers playing alone. You should start questioning. Children love children. Children love playing and running around together. So if yours is always isolating themselves and they're very comfortable playing alone, my sister, my brother, you need to start questioning. And of course, from all the points that I've mentioned, if your child is experiencing like 6 and above, my dear, please don't pretend, don't live in denial, accept, because acceptance is the first step, and look for help for the child as soon as possible. Then the inability to respond to their name. By 1 year, when you call a child, you say maybe Brian, the child should be able to look at you. Or baby, they should be able to look at you. Or maybe you say, hi, maybe Chloe, hi Chloe, baby Chloe, they should be able to look at you. But if your child does not, even when you come close and you scream their name, they don't listen or look at you, turn to look at you, then there is a problem. And finally, my 17th point, 17 key points or key signs for you to look up to look into in case your child is experiencing them. This could be sign that the child has autism. Then being hyperactive. The child is highly active, hyperactive. Yes, children are very active, but there are kids who are extreme. When you stop them, they don't stop. They even become aggressive and all that. They don't want to be told. Look into this. So I'm here to encourage, as I conclude on this particular episode, I'm here to encourage parents. If your child has been diagnosed with autism, or you haven't seen a doctor to check out your child, but you notice that most of the points I've mentioned here, your child is experiencing them, please don't sit back. Early intervention is very important. If I hadn't taken my son for to see a doctor as soon as possible. Maybe today he wouldn't be talking. Today he's 5 years. Talking, he literally doesn't want to stay in the house. Even as I speak now, he's out playing with his friends. He's doing well at school. He's writing. Like, he's doing what every normal child should do at his age. Although he's a little delayed, but he's catching up. His speech is becoming clearer and clearer every day. His vocabulary is growing. Like, every night, every morning, he wakes up with a new word. So listen to parents who have children with autism. Do not listen to people who are telling you that every child is different. And I'm here to tell you that everything is possible. You may not cure autism, but you may reverse some of the symptoms and help your child achieve their milestone as soon as possible. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe. In case you have anything to share regarding what I've mentioned above, I am not a health professional, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a neurologist, but I'm just a parent whose child was once diagnosed with mild autism, and out of experience, I'm here to share our achievements and what we went through, how we came to conclude that our child was actually experiencing mild autism. Yeah, so see you in the next video, where we'll be discussing more of the things that I did or that we did to ensure that our child, our son, thrives. And right now he's doing so well. So catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.